Good morning from Greece. I've been waiting for a long time to say this. It's been a while since I felt anything close to summer. So I'm actually here because I'm going on yet another cruise and it's gonna go through the Greek islands, and I'm really excited about that because I haven't seen any of the Greek islands. I've been to Athens before, maybe like 12 years ago. I'm gonna try and share as much as I can. Okay, so I need to show you my view. I mean, the sound is really bad, but that is actually the Acropolis, which is so lovely. This is a 19th century building. It's right in Plaka, in the center of Athens, and there's spring weather, which is amazing. So from my hotel to Roman Agora, it's like a 6-minute walk. So this is gonna be my first attraction of the day. I don't know if you can actually walk around there. Well, let's see. The streets are so quiet. Maybe January is not a bad time to visit Greece. It's actually fascinating to just walk around the city and see this. So I arrived here yesterday and it was pouring outside. I didn't even left my hotel room because it was that bad. I do not have any rain equipment and it was definitely not the best time to visit anything. Now it is absolutely perfect. I think this is my destination. Built in the 1st century BC, Roman Agora was the city's main marketplace during the Roman period. It was created when Athens had come under Roman control and daily life began shifting away from the older Greek Agora, the original civic and commercial center of the city, located just a short walk from here. But this was not just a place of trade, it was also a carefully organized public space surrounded by colonnades and shops where merchants, officials and visitors moved through a more structured, Roman-style marketplace. At its center stands the Tower of the Winds, a small octagonal structure considered one of the earliest weather stations in the world. Each side represents a different wind, carved as a figure, while the exterior functioned as a sundial, and inside a water clock allowed time to be measured even when the sun was not visible. People were walking on this exact path, which is incredible. I cannot get over this. And it's so lovely to have this place to myself. I would definitely stay here for a long time exploring every single attraction because there are so many things to do, and it's one of those cities that has such a lovely atmosphere. This is Hadrian's library. The souvenir shops are just opening now. It does seem like everything opens pretty late. Like I feel like it's 6 a.m. based on how busy the streets are, but it's actually 10. I found this brunch coffee shop named The Brunchers, and I'm just gonna have an oat latte to start the day. I also received like 2 liters of water with it. So I will now visit the ancient Agora, and then I will go on a short walk, and then I'm gonna finally visit Acropolis and enjoy a little bit more of the city. I'm trying to relax as well and to enjoy the city today. Normally back in the day I would have tried to pack absolutely everything in my time here, but I don't want to be running around. I want to relax. I want to feel the city. Tomorrow afternoon I'm gonna go on the cruise, and then we have an extra day in Athens as well, so there's still a little bit more time to add something to the itinerary. On my way to the next attraction. This is a lovely pedestrian street. I cannot believe how amazing the weather is today. I'm sure it's way more popular during the summer, but I'm loving it like this. Look at the view. This looks so nice. I feel like I've been going in circles. I was on the other side trying to find the entrance. I somehow missed it, and now I'm on this other side behind the fence. I 100% just went by the gate, I'm pretty sure. But Google is confusing. If you put the attraction on Google, it's trying to get you into the middle of it without actually pointing you to the entrance. So not entirely my fault. It was not the entrance. So I managed to find the exit. And apparently I need to go back and re-navigate through the mud. Okay, now it's clear why I missed the entrance, because I was going this way towards Acropolis, and there are all these cafes here. And there's not much of a clear sign. I was supposed to come this way, and Google was sending me to a different place. So anyway, I'm here. Finally made it. This is 20 more euros. Acropolis is also 30 euros. The other attraction, Roman Agora, which was a very small site, was also 10 euros. So yeah, be prepared to spend if you want to visit Athens. Ooh, wow. Ancient Agora of Athens was the operational center of the city, the place where its political system, economy, and social life all converged. This open expanse functioned as the heart of Athenian public life. Here, laws were prepared, civic decisions were debated, and citizens took part directly in the political life of the city. It was also a place of justice, administration, and philosophy. Magistrates carried out daily public business here. Legal cases were heard nearby, and thinkers like Socrates moved through the Agora questioning, debating, and engaging with the people around them. What remains today are the foundations, pathways, and broken monuments of a space that once stood at the center of Athenian life. And across the side, layers from different periods still reveal how the Agora continued to evolve through the archaic, classical, Hellenistic, and Roman eras. Overlooking the complex is the Temple of Hephaestus, positioned on a low hill at the edge of the Agora. Built in the 5th century BC, it is one of the best preserved ancient Greek temples in the world. Dedicated to Hephaestus, the god of fire and metalworking, and associated with Athena in her role as protector of craftsmanship, it stood above an area closely linked to workshops and artisans. What makes it so remarkable is how much of it still survives. While much of the Agora remains in fragments, the Temple of Hephaestus preserves much of its original structure, offering one of the clearest surviving impressions of what classical Athens once looked like. Look at this spot. This is my view. The ancient Agora of Athens and Acropolis in the background. I then walked up into Anafiotika, a small neighborhood tucked beneath the Acropolis, where Athens suddenly feels more like an island village than a capital city. Its narrow stone paths, whitewashed walls, and tiny houses were built in the 19th century by workers from the island of Anafi, who recreated the style of their homes here in the middle of Athens. I have come to a coffee shop named Melina. This is in the Anafiotika neighborhood. This is such a lovely place. I'm loving the decor and the atmosphere here. This was recommended to me by someone at the hotel, and I ordered a salad and a healthy drink. So I'm really looking forward to that. This is a great place to stop for lunch. I'm now walking towards Acropolis, hoping I'm gonna find the right gate this time. But just based on this road and the music and everything, it seems like it would lead to a tourist attraction. Look at this. The weather is not sunny anymore. However, it reminds me of spring, and I missed spring. And I strongly dislike European winters. So, except for the Mediterranean countries, of course, and I'm happy to be here. It's such a nice atmosphere. So beautiful. It's even more beautiful like this with the clouds and the sunset. The Acropolis of Athens was the city's most important ancient sanctuary, rising above the city on a fortified limestone hill. Its name means high city, and for thousands of years this elevated ground was occupied, rebuilt and reshaped into the religious heart of Athens. By the 5th century BC, it had become a ceremonial center of the city, transformed during the age of Pericles into a monumental complex dedicated primarily to Athena, the city's patron goddess. Set high above the city and visible from every direction below, the Acropolis was a sacred space shaped with deliberate precision. Its buildings formed a unified architectural statement that reflected Athenian power, identity and artistic achievement at the height of the classical era. Visitors in ancient times would have approached along the Panathenaic Way, entering the sanctuary through the Propylaea, a grand marble gateway that controlled access to the sacred space. Once inside, they moved through a carefully planned landscape of temples, altars, and statues, each contributing to the religious and symbolic meaning of the Acropolis as a whole. Over the centuries, the Acropolis endured wars, conversions, explosions, and restorations, yet its main structures remain among the most influential works of architecture ever created. What survives today represents only a fraction of its original decoration, but the scale and precision of the complex still convey the ambition of the society that built it. At the center stands the Parthenon, completed between 447 and 432 BC. It was dedicated to Athena, here worshipped as Athena Parthenos, meaning the Virgin, and once housed a massive statue of her made of gold and ivory. Its carved decorations showed scenes from Greek mythology, helping present Athens as powerful, protected, and proud of its place in the ancient world. To the north stands the Erechtheion, a more complex and irregular structure built between 421 and 406 BC. It was designed to accommodate multiple forms of worship, including Athena in her role as Athena Polias, meaning protector of the city, as well as Poseidon. The building is best known for the porch of the Caryatids, where 6 sculpted female figures support the roof in place of traditional columns. Marking the formal entrance to the Acropolis, the Propylaea functioned both as a monumental gateway and as a boundary between the everyday world and the sacred sanctuary. Even after centuries of damage, change and reconstruction, the Acropolis still dominates the city below, much as it did in the ancient world, carrying the weight of the history, belief and ambition that shaped it over time.